And we are live.
What up? What up? Hey, what's going on, y'all? It's your boy Rich. Real Talk with Rich tonight. We got a special edition Roundtable on tonight. Tonight we're talking Black Keys, everything Black Keys, but in particularly Black comic books you wish you had. We're going to talk a little bit about those kind of books. We'll talk about those books that we are on our wish list. We're also talking about books that we think that are underrated. And so I have some awesome gentlemen with us on tonight. Of course, I got the Chief Gandada Paul with me. I got the Wizard Derek in the building. That's our producer. And I also have Mike Carson, Super Slabs in the building. And I got the Honorable Mr. Robert Foreman in the building as well. And I also have DJ Big Phil, Pittsburgh's finest in the building. So everybody, how y'all doing? What's going on?
Doing good. Can't complain.
Yeah, what's going on, my bro?
All right. What's up? What's up? Just want to say shout out to the chat, everybody that's hanging out with us on tonight. We hope you got some libation. We're going to chill. We're going to talk history. We're going to talk books. We're going to talk keys. And we're just going to jump right on in. So the first question we're going to put to the floor is what's the difference between a black key and a regular key? Now, I think that in some ways, all of our definitions may be similar, but they may also differ. So who wants to tackle that question? What's the difference between a black key and a regular key, first of all?
I started off.
Desire to have a book.
Go ahead, Paul.
Say again?
You said, what's the difference between a black key and a regular key? And I said, it's really just a matter of your desire to have the book.
Right.
I mean,
okay.
From a general perspective, a black key is going to be a key book of a black character, right? Or maybe a key book of a black creator, because you have someone like a Matt Baker. Just about everything they've done is a key because he's Matt Baker. But, it's a hard assessment because it's the recognition that if you go on like Key Collector, for example, and books that we in our community may consider keys, the general community that does things like Key Collector may not. So it's really a matter of how important is the book to you. In a general sense, a key is always a first appearance or a major event in a character's life, costume change, something like that. So you can generally say those definitions, but with a black character.
I say to spin off of what you just said, Paul. I say going back in history, we had a lot of black creators, black artists, writers that didn't get to get their shine because of their skin. So I think when you get your Matt Bakers and different artists that actually got the chance to get a shine out there, I think those are more historic in the sense they have more value to us because we didn't have those opportunities. So within first appearances, I think certain artists and certain writers actually dictate what you can consider a key, as well as kind of different from like your Hulk 181s or some of the mainstream characters that we still love, but some of these other historical books where you got your Lobos, you got your Army at Wars, where characters got their first shot of having their own solo title or having their own just positive shot or positive likeness of a black person in general. Those also, I think, are considered keys as well. Black keys.
I think those are some real good explanations. To jump on it, I think black keys are keys that have some type of cultural significance to African Americans and African American collectors. A lot of times they have there's a personal situation with them. I think black keys at a particular point can move into the foray of being just a key in general. But I think it's just a cultural difference. But for instance, it may not have the same monetary value, but it still may be culturally important. And also, like Brother Carson was saying, a lot of those books, back then we were portrayed a certain light. So, for shout out to Matt Baker, who's also from Pittsburgh, PA as well. Pittsburgh, if it wasn't for Pittsburgh, there wouldn't be a lot of black comics, but that's a whole other conversation. But you look at people like the Matt Bakers, and I'm just being honest, and it just is what it is. But I think black keys are about cultural significance to the African American community.
Right. It's interesting that you brought up the cultural aspect of what black keys mean to us, or what certain keys mean to us. And there's something to be said about that, because I think that our history is so significant and distinct to where, our thoughts towards regular keys may not even really matter as much to, us. Let's say, for example, first appearance of Galactus. Okay, that's a key book, but it's not a book that, unless you're a quote unquote a Galactus fan or a Fantastic Four fan or a hardcore fan, you really don't care about that book. I care more about Eben. You know what I'm saying? Rico in the building. Shout out to Rico.
Rico, man. Listen, Matt Baker went to Westinghouse High School. He went to Westinghouse. Me and Rico do this all day about Matt Baker. So we're gonna keep doing this all day. It's all good. All you gotta do is Google it real quick.
Right. So I mean, it's a beautiful thing, though, man. But I'm so glad that we're able to celebrate our books, our collectors, our creators. It's a wonderful thing, man. It's one of the reasons why I wanted to have this conversation, because I think that we don't stress enough the importance of our history in regards to these books or whatever, because it speaks to the history of America. It's almost like it kind of mirrors it. It's like, okay, well, we talk about a book like, for example, All Negro Comics. I don't want to get into specifics. We'll get into that a little bit later. But you think about it, here's a company that was started by black people that was trying to sell a comic book, and they were denied the ability to do so. So they did not only want to depict us horribly and terribly, right? They also didn't want us to have self-determination, which is what any culture or any people that are on the move desire to do. So we salute, all of our forefathers and our forebears in regards to that, because they really went through some stuff, and we can't speak enough on that. Speaking of which, I just want to kind of bring in a thought. There is a book called Invisible Men by Ken Quattro, to the point that, if you want to do a deep dive, guys, this is a book to get, because some of the artists back in the 1940s that were on these comic books or whatever, there's a distinct history that's there, and all of us should have this book in our collection or desire to get it, because this is about our story. These are about our peoples and what they were doing when it wasn't fashionable for them to put their name in books to get credit and things of that nature. So shout out to Ken Quattro for putting together a book. He's working on a new book, from what I understand, that's going to be even a deeper dive. So salute to him. And so, guys, if you really want to do a deep dive in terms of creators and talking about history, this is a perfect book. With that being said, we're going to move to a topic. Yes, sir.
Yeah, one thing I'll add, in the description for this live in YouTube. Go to that description,
Okay.
click on that link, or go through the website. Click on our link through the website when you go to Amazon to buy that book if you're interested in it. Help us out a little bit if you click through those links if you determine to buy that book. Thank you.
Yes. Please go to our website and you'll find an Amazon link there. And if you click the Amazon link there, it'll take you right to your account. You know, but you can buy the book there. And what it does, it helps us with our mission to bring you guys this kind of content. So again, do yourself a solid, get the book, and at the same time help Black Comic Lords do what we need to do. Okay. So with that being said, we want to move to a question. Our first real question of the night is, what's on your wish list? This is a section where we're going to talk about what us as personal collectors, what we want. You know, if we able to obtain these books, you know, this is what we want to do. So Phil, you the first man up. I want you to just talk real brief about the books that are on this list that you have highlighted that's on your wish list, sir.
For sure. I think, you know, the most important book, the most important Black key, in my opinion, is All Negro Comics #1. It's a book that I almost owned at one particular point, and I passed up like an idiot. I don't even want to get into that. But that's the #1 on my wish list. I believe that's the most important, culturally important book, comic book, period. Just overall key. That's my #1 key, period, point blank. Also, Negro Romance. That's another great one. It's a book I had and I actually was able to get for somebody else. Phantom Lady #17, another Matt Baker classic. That's also a book that helped bring in the comics code, unfortunately, and it was used in Seduction of the Innocent. Ebbet #1, Robert Fuller, and of course Crown Comics #3, another Matt Baker classic. So 2 out of 5 are Matt Baker classics. And Crown is because of Vuda, and it's the first appearance of Vuda, who I believe was like the first Black hero created by Matt Baker as well. So it's just an important book. That's I feel like that's a great top 5 wish list of books I've never owned, but I want to have in my collection at some particular point.
That's what's up. Next up, who we got? I'm gonna see if you can switch me last. We got guests. I want my guests to be here first. Mike, talk about these books, sir.
All right, up on my list, of course, All Negro Comics 1. Multiple reasons, mainly it's probably one of the most expensive books and one of the most sought after ones in our collection. And as far as historical books, it can kind of hang with anyone. Number 2 on my list is a complete static run in the 9.8. There's a few, I want to say 6 or 7 books out there that there's not one 9.8 on the census, so it's going to just be a little work for me to find some raws out there in the the wild and figure it out. So
I sent you that raw today in the group. Did you see it, Brother Mike?
No, I didn't.
My bad.
I'm gonna have to go check it out.
What's the toughest 9.8 left that you still need?
Oh man, I don't want to say.
Oh.
I know it.
All right, that's right.
And I'm after it.
You tell us after you get it.
It's for sure just one of the ones, like I said, that there's no 9.8s, because I'm just gonna have to find one in the wild and just press it and hope for the best. So, hopefully I get it soon. But number 3, I have Crown Comics 3. For the same reason Phil just said, it's a Matt Baker book. You got a Black artist with a Black character first appearance, so it checks 2 boxes. I missed 2 of them this year, and just one I have on my list. Number 4 is a random one. I put it on here because it's actually an affordable book, and a lot of people kind of skip over it. It's first appearance of Crimson Avenger, Stars and Stripe 9.
Nice.
I've never seen one in the 9.8, so if somebody has one out there, let's work something out. And number 5, I have Moon Girl Devil Dinosaur 13. It's a Sanford Green cover, the variant. It's probably one of the toughest ones to get out there. You got a Black artist, Black character, again, checks 2 boxes. So And that's more of a modern book, so it's more chances of getting into some of these older historical books with low numbers. So
That's a great list.
Yeah.
It's a great
And
list.
and Mike, going back to your 9/8s, you shared this video with us. I'm just going to play this quickly just to show spotlight some of these 9/8s that you got in your static collection.
Fight the criminal, chase the bad guys. Say the world, fly to the sky. Half kid, I'm amazing. Okay, stand shot in the face. Yeah, 1-0, then you zap. Good against evil, get trapped. Look in my eyes, I got the power. Villains run from the static shower. Superhero, static shot. Superhero, static shot. Criminals, get twisted. This superhero gifted. Bell ring, back in school. Nobody know what I do. Okay, superhero, static shot. Superhero, static.
yeah,
Crazy.
hey,
That's a
appreciate
load.
it.
That's a load.
Got about 7 more to go, man. It's a tough run, but I'm still pushing through. And shout out to Dennis Cowan. He's the GOAT.
That's what's up. All right,
Tough run.
Derek.
All right, my list. I think we got a few repeats on here. My list consists of things I'll probably never even see and be able to touch. Definitely don't have the bread for it, but if somebody were to hand it to me or to offer it to me, I'd definitely take it in a hot minute. So All Negro Comics, definitely number one, for reasons already mentioned. Another one that Rico has talked about a little bit is The Adventures of Black Eldridge, a great book that was actually confiscated, I think, by the CIA. So there's not many copies left and really hard to find. And then we've got this Phantom Lady, and I'm not sure that's actually, I don't think that's number one, but the Phantom Lady, that cover is
17.
Yeah, 17. So that one is just, that's a big boy book right there.
Right.
All around, everybody wants that one. And I've also got the Ultimate Fallout 4, the 1 in 25, the Jurovic variant, for obvious reasons. And then Ebon number one as well. Once again, probably only 100 copies of that one exists. So try to put.
What's the significance of the Phantom Lady, Derek?
I think that's the most iconic cover for Matt Baker of Phantom Lady, and it also because it has bondage, it pulled him into the him and Phantom Lady into scrutiny because of the seduction of the innocent as well.
It was one of the books that was used in court to come up with the comics code. Actually, a lot of Matt Baker's work, because he drew women so well, and he looked at it as an issue. And Phantom Lady was used in court, and that's how we get the comics code. Partially because of that in DC Comics, and that cover was used.
Yeah, he was the dude, especially for drawing women. I mean, he changed the game, and basically, he would come in and draw the women in a book somebody else had already drawn, and make them look real. So he changed the game.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, Paul.
Yes, sir.
All right, cool. All Negro Comics really doesn't deserve much of an explanation. Sort of the granddaddy of comic book collecting. It's got a little bit of everything. You've got a hero, you've got a crime story, you've got comedy. It's got a little bit of all the genres of what makes in black comics, in comics, all the genres of comics. But the fact that it was done by all black artists and creators, and it was the first of its kind, that's a highly significant book for anyone. And I would say it's just a general key for anyone with an ounce of integrity. That is a significant general key. That's tremendously underrepresented. Eben number one is my number two for a very specific reason. It really, in a sense, is one of the first works of Afrofuturism that you see, which is a big, Afrofuturism as a movement has gained a lot of steam after the Black Panther movie in 2018, but it of course existed before then. but I think Eben is probably one of the first instances of Afrofuturism in a comic book that was ever done. So I think in terms of being at the forefront of a very significant movement, that one deserves its recognition. Giant Size X-Men, look, you could ask who is the most significant Black character in Marvel Comics. And if you asked that question prior to 2018, the answer would clearly be Storm.
That's correct.
She is Marvel Comics' most popular Black character. I would even argue, to some extent, even today, she may be more popular than Black Panther. If you go on Twitter, you see a hell of a lot of people that are tremendously big fans of Storm. And she doesn't really get enough props, and she certainly hasn't had enough runs. So her first appearance is significant.
Definitely.
Tomb of Dracula 10 on my wish list, because every time I check to try and get it, the price seems to get bigger, which makes me want it even more. And it just keeps going further and further out of my reach. I probably will never, ever own this book unless I'm gifted it. Number one, this is more of a personal thing for me. My dad loved Westerns, and whenever I think of this book, I think of him. He used to always talk to me about how he's a fan of Lash LaRue and, Kid Colt and stuff like that. I wish I could have talked to him about this book before he passed. But that's just more of a personal thing for me. This book kind of reminds me of him and his interest. And I've never had a copy, and I really would like to get one someday.
Paul, I got doubles. So what I'm gonna do is, man, we're gonna come up with a trade, man. I'm gonna make sure you get a copy. So I got 2 of those. So I got you.
Oh man, that's what's up, man. I appreciate it. I don't know what I have that I can trade you for it, but
don't worry about it. We'll figure it out. Or I'll send one to you, and we'll figure it out later.
All right, man. That's what's up. Appreciate it.
All right. So my wish list is All Negro Comics #1, of course, for obvious reasons, and that's just a beautiful book, and it's a historical piece. It's a grail. It's everything for Black collecting goals in comics. Eben #1, also for the Afrofuturism, before there was such a word coined, and personal attachment to the work Larry Fuller has done in our community. So Eben #1 is, I would hope to get one. I've written on it, I've talked about it, and that's on my wish list. Number 3, Black Boy Fly, which is Hebrew Brantley. Hebrew Brantley is one of our most talented artists. This dude is not a comic book artist. This dude is a artist. This dude is a painter, whatever you want to call it. I mean, his figures, his art style, his drawing of children. I remember the first time I saw Black Boy Fly, I just stared at it because it was so ridiculously real to me. So that's just a book that someday I hope to, cop one way or the other. So number 4, Black Laughter #1, first appearance of habeas corpus. I see you, bro. I see you, Mr. Fordman. So as Black Laughter goes, this is one of those historical books that James Dixon created, and it's about a cigar smoking attorney. These are one of the things that, for entertainment, people picked up these publications and they enjoyed it. This is a book from, I think, 1972. So I grew up in the 70s, and so for me, that is something that I would just love to have, because I collect Ebony magazines, and who's doing the noise? Please stop. Thank you. Number 5 is Adventures of Black Eldridge. This is the book that Rico Jones shared in our community, the history of it in terms of why it was important to understand that when the Black Panthers were doing their thing, they were trying to do things not only socially, but they were trying to do things culturally. And it's important that we honor that. So if we can get our hands on that book, we should, because they thought enough of it for the FBI to confiscate it wherever it was. And there are many Black bookstores, I'm sure, that have stories or are very much aware of this and probably have, copies somewhere, you know what I'm saying? But it's for the most part a ghost. And, I'm just glad that we are aware of it. So those are my books on the wish list. So, do we have anybody else, or we got it, guys?
Hey, want to give a shout out to Rico Jones, who was also very helpful in us developing our Black Keys on our website. A lot of those entries we got with his counsel. So shout out to the bro.
All right. So with that, we're going to go ahead and take a commercial break, and stay tuned. We'll be right back. We're going to talk about some Black Keys that not talked about enough. So that's what's up. Stay tuned. Go to blackcomiclords.net. Get you some merch. That beautiful shirt that Paul has on, you can get that. That sticker that Tamiko just showed you, you can get that. You can get that on a shirt. You can get that on a mask. You can get that on a backpack. You can get that on a mug. You can get that on you can get that on anything. We got it for you. We got some heat for you. Go to our website, blackcomiclords.net, and check us out. Let's go. All right. So
we see you, Big Phil. We see you.
Appreciate y'all.
Shout out to DJ Big Phil doing his thing. Got some content coming our way. So y'all stay tuned for that. So we're gonna go ahead and get into this part of say what are some of the Black Keys you feel are not talked about enough. All of us have our thoughts as to what we think should be propped up and what, I'm not gonna say what shouldn't be propped up, but what should be propped up more, or what should be talked about more than anything. So we're gonna just discuss that real quick, not real quick, but we're gonna just get into this and let's talk about why these books are considered, why aren't they talked about more? So what do we have up, sir? All right, Mr. Mike, most underrated.
Mike. Yep, you can hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yep.
All right. Number 1 on my list is Black Lightning 1. This is a book that every copy is a newsstand, so that's a plus. One of the first Black characters for DC Comics. Most of the art done by Trevor Von Eaton, a black artist. So again, that checks two boxes for me: a first black appearance, and and a creator on the other end as well. The book is very affordable as far as keys are concerned. Um, I think right now these in the 9.8 are trending about like 8-900. At one point in the middle of the pandemic, it was say maybe about 17-1800. So
Definitely.
to me, very underrated book, historical for DC as well. Just one book that people don't give the shine that it should. I think it should be up there on the likes of like a Luke Cage. It gives you that same type of vibe. Um, like I said, it checks a lot of boxes for me. Number two on my list is Legends number one. It's first appearance of Amanda Waller. Uh, this book right here in
Talk
a
about it.
9.8 you could probably get for around 100 to 200 bucks. I see them selling for around 150 all the time. Uh, the character Amanda Waller is probably the most utilized black character in comics, TV, movies. Let's see, she's in animated shows. She's been in a lot of feature films. She's been characters in the live action HBO films, The Peacemaker, and everything like that. Um, the likeness uh, changed through the years. Like initially, they had her as like a big mammy style type character. You see Phil holding up a few of them right there as well. Um, I like the way they kind of transitioned her to now. Going forward with DC Comics, I expect Amanda Waller to be pretty much in every film, sort of like
Definitely.
Nick
Nick
Fury of
Fury.
sorts or whatever for DC. So, like I said, a very affordable book. Legends One, you can get it on eBay pretty readily, and I tended to go with books that I think are affordable for people out there. So,
And it's
uh,
criminally underrated too. It's undervalued.
very
Super
much.
undervalued.
I
Super
said,
undervalued.
not many books from the '80s. This like, I mean, it's a 30-year book pushing now. For 150 bucks for a CGC 9.8. I mean, if you're trying to get a good collection started, that's a good key that you can add in there that'll give you a nice solid base. So, number three on my list is Static One. Um, obviously, one of my favorite characters. It's an affordable key. You can get a Static 9.8 collector's edition for maybe around 200 to 300 bucks. Um, everyone seems to love Static. I mean, black people, white people. Anytime you see DC or some of the people complaining about, race swapping, is like, oh, why haven't they used Static? Had a cartoon in the '90s or in the 2000s, Static Shock. Everybody's familiar with. Um, Dennis Cowan, Dwayne McDuffie, two of the greats in the industry, contribute to this. Uh, just checks a lot of boxes for me. With a print count, maybe 5 to 6,000. There's roughly what 8,000 people in some of these groups that we're in. Black comic lords, Black superheroes forever. There's no reason why this book should be available at all. If everyone owned a copy, I mean the value would just up tremendously. So, just my opinion. Number four on the list is Lobo number one. Um, I put this one on my list as an underrated book because every time I go back to look at it, slowly, it's steadily just creeping up. Even with the pandemic and everything right now, where you had a lot of books dropping in prices, Lobo just kind of seemed to just stay steady, and uh, the value just seems to keep growing and growing. And usually, when most collectors or say black collectors start to get into the space and they try to go after black keys, usually when you Google like the first black hero, for whatever reason, Lobo comes up. So
Definitely.
a lot of people seem to add that as the first black superhero, and that's not correct, but it is still a good key to have. And I want to say he's maybe the first black with his own solo title in a major publication. You guys can kind of correct me if I'm wrong there, but I think that's what it is. And number five on my list is DC Presents 26. First appearance of Cyborg. Very underrated key in my opinion. If you look at DC Comics as far as value, I mean, I know they're down now. Maybe the past 10 years or so, they've been losing, to fight the Marvel. But overall, for the duration of comic existence, DC Comics has been the big dog on the block. So I think at any time when you can catch keys, especially I'm a 9.8 guy, I guess, I don't know, but when you can catch them for affordable price, and you see books like Luke Cage in the 9.8 fetching 100,000, when you can get a first appearance of Cyborg for $2,000, this it's kind of like a no brainer where to go investing wise. So I chose all these books, like I said, because I think they're kind of affordable compared to some of the bigger keys, and just wanted to spotlight some books that are readily available on eBay. If you just take the time and save up a little bit, go after them. I mean, they're out there. So,
All right. Who's next? Next up.
So
Next up. Next up.
for me, we got Crown Comics #3, Matt Baker Goodness. The first appearance of Vuda, black character, first black hero character. Don't let the cover fool you. And it was created by one of the GOAT, one of the greatest artists of all time, Matt Baker. That's my number one, most underrated, because I feel like a lot of people don't, just the significance of that book, not even so much the monetary value. There's not that many on the census, and it's just a book that needs a little bit more exposure. But those who know actually know. Hellrider #1 has the first black female superhero in there, Black Butterfly. It's actually in a magazine, in a magazine style size format. Life with Archie 110, the first appearance of brother Chuck Clayton, first African American male in the Archie series. Lobo #1, and Lobo #1's not necessarily underrated, but I feel like Brother Carson said, a lot of black collectors, that's one of the first books they go after. And that book can cost you a pretty penny. There was a point where you could get those pretty at a lower rate, but now everybody's kind of going after them. The information is out there, so you're not getting that cheap anymore. And that's also one of my favorite books. My father also was big on Western, so when I first discovered Gunhawks and Lobo, it just it got that connection with me and my father. So I kind of understand where you're coming from, Paul. And the Adventures of Black Eldritch. I mean, just the story behind that particular book is just incredible. And we could talk about that all day, but that's another underrated book, and I think that's a book that should be on everybody's radar because for one, it's nearly impossible to get. The only person I know that has it is Brother Rico. I could be wrong, but I'm going to have one in 2023 myself. So I got everything on this list besides for the Black Eldritch and the Crown comic books.
All right.
All right. So my list, I kind of cheated a little bit. My number one is actually a comic strip, and it's Speed Jackson, which showed up in the Chicago Defender. And in 1945, this series actually had a storyline that involved a hidden and secret African country that nobody ever knew about. So very similar to Wakanda. And I would just love to have one of those comic strips or Chicago Defender with one of those comic strips from the time when the storyline took place. And I have not heard anybody talking about having that or even looking for it. And I think it's because a combination of people probably don't know much about it, number one. And even if they did, chances that would still exist, probably very, very low. So that would be number one on my most underrated list. Number two, and it's already been covered, Black Eldritch. Once again, for all the reasons discussed already. Thanks, Rico. And also have on my list Black Lightning #1, which has also been covered. I look at a lot of the number ones for some of these characters' first appearances, and this one just seems to be so underrated compared to its peers. So I think this is just a very important one on the list. And my number 4, I'd say it's underrated basically because of new information that's come out, which is Silver Surfer #5. So if you don't know, this is obviously the 5th book in the Silver Surfer's self-named run. And in this book, there's a character named Al B. Harper who helps Silver Surfer out. and actually sacrifices himself to save Earth. And as a result of that, Silver Surfer gained a great measure of respect for humans, and definitely for Albie Harper. So now the interesting thing is there's this new book, Silver Surfer Ghostlight, that's coming out in February, written by John Jennings. And in this book, John Jennings is basically resurrecting Albie Harper to be this new hero called Ghostlight. So as a result, we're taking a character that only appeared really one time actually in the comics, even though he was mentioned several times, and you're going to turn him into a hero, superhero with powers. So this is a wild card, but I think it's definitely underrated, especially given the fact that the value of these books didn't hop when this announcement took place. So I still think there's an opportunity to grab this book while it's out there. And then the last one might look a little bit, might be wondering why does Derek have this one on here? Black Panther #1 from the Volume 7 run. And it's because there are these two variants called the Jack Kirby remastered variants. There's one in colors that was, I think, a 1 in 500, and then a sketched version that was 1 in 1,000. And the reason why, to me, this is an underrated book is because this specific cover is actually one of the original concepts from Jack Kirby for Fantastic Four #52. So my understanding is the reason why this book, why this cover wasn't selected is because in this picture, or one of the reasons is because in this picture, Black Panther is wearing a cowl as opposed to the mask. And because he's wearing a cowl and you have a color picture, then you can see his skin. And this time, if you have a black person on a book, especially one in a position of power or looking like a hero, you're a lot less likely to get the sales you want, especially in several parts of the United States. So I think the decision was to move to a book that was going to obscure his face and make it harder to see. So for me, I just love the story behind this, and I actually have both of those in 9.8. So
Nice.
that would
You had to add. You had to add a little flex at the end.
It's not a flex, Paul. I got something for that, Paul.
Too funny.
All right. But speaking of, Paul, you're up next.
All right. I mean, Black Lightning, I think we all kind of agreed is a severely underrated book and a character. And the fact that Trevor Von Eden was involved in his creation, I think, is significant. He should be a DC premier character, and he just doesn't get the respect that he deserves. Hellrider #1. I actually didn't even know about this book until I got into these spaces. But as soon as I did and found out about Butterfly, I immediately purchased this book. I mean, it amazes me that I've been collecting comics for this long, and it wasn't until I got into these spaces that I learned about this book. Tremendously underrated and significant. Kind of a wild card, Black Panther Volume 7. I mean, most of you guys know I'm a big Black Panther.
Okay.
So, Paul, I think you muted yourself by accident. You need to unmute yourself, Paul. I can't unmute you. There you go. Now you're muted again.
Just do it again.
There you go.
Did you guys hear any of what I said before?
Start over with Black Panther.
Oh, all right. So yeah, I'm a big Black Panther fan. One of the first things I recognized when I got this book was the fact that in Marvel's history, it's never had a comic book with this many black characters on the cover, like ever. There's like 10 black characters on the cover of this book. Within the interior of the book, I forget how much it was. How much did we count it to, Derek? Was it 24 or something like that?
I can't remember the number. It's a lot. is a huge
It,
number.
it's a lot. It's the most black characters. Black. Let me be specific. It's the most black Marvel superheroes in one book. Was this book? This is an all black issue. I don't think there's a single white person in the entire book. It's an all black issue of all black superhero Marvel superheroes. Um, first and only book of its kind. Next, Action Comics 521. This is more of a personal thing for me. Vixen is like, it just reminds me of like Black Lightning. She is just one of the most underrated superheroes that's out there with a tremendous amount of potential. She's had her own cartoon web series. She's been in the Young Justice cartoon. She's even been live action in Legends of Tomorrow. And yet, I really feel that there's not a lot of people that know about her or even recognize how powerful and significant a character she is. It wasn't until Dwayne McDuffie, I believe, started writing Justice League of America that you even saw her as more of a leader character because she led her own team. She's a tremendously underutilized character in comics. She's underrated as a significant character, as a powerful character, as a woman, as a superheroine. And I really think she really deserves more respect as a character. Number 5, Secret Wars. Number 9. The whole universe got rebooted in this issue. I was always a big fan of the Ultimate comics. Read and collected those comics when they originally came out. And for those of you who don't know, the Secret Wars helped to resolve the Ultimate Universe into the 616 universe. The main thing that came out of that was Miles Morales joined the 616 universe. So I think in terms of, even MCU spec, I think this is a very significant book because it shows how Miles got into the 616 universe.
Say it again. Say it again, Paul. Say it again, Paul.
This book is significant because this is the book in which Miles joins the 616 universe. As a Black Panther fan, Black Panther recreated the 616 universe with the Infinity Gauntlet. That happened in this book as well. So all the Marvel books you're reading now, that's from a universe that T'Challa created. But this particular cover, this was the Sarah Pacelli cover. This isn't the regular cover A. This is the Sarah Pacelli cover. Sarah Pacelli was one of the artists that was, I guess, helped co-create Miles Morales with Brian Michael Bendis. I thought this cover was a dope cover. It's not easy to find. It's with Spider-Man and Miles, and you can't see it from this picture, but he basically says something to the effect: Spider-Man, Peter Parker says to Miles, "Welcome to the club," or something like that on the cover. So, or you're gonna do great, something like that. As an honorable mention, this is a shout out to Rico's Infinity Gauntlet, won the second print from 2015. This could equally go on this list as well. One of the things I'm big on is the idea of a Black super family, kind of like the Fantastic Four. There are none in the Marvel universe, where you have a nuclear family, a mother, a father, child, children, all with superpowers. We don't have that. We could have with Black Panther Storm, but I won't talk about that. But this is the Backian family. And this is a dope cover because cover A has them all in their costumes, but they're kind of silhouetted, so you don't really see them. In this cover, you see the entire family on the cover, a Black super family. Just doesn't exist in Marvel. And I think it's a pretty significant book.
All right. What's up? I think it's Rich, if I'm not mistaken. Where we going?
There you go, Rich.
All right. Okay. Most underrated for me, of course, me and Black Lightning #1. I can't stress enough the importance of why this book, is so important. But why it is underrated, why it's going for the bread that it's going for, why it's not in more demand. I lay this squarely at BC's feet, and we could get into, print runs and all that. It's a doggone shame that this book is not valued more than what it is. #2, I feel like even though Black Man, a lot of us have this book in our collection, a lot of us don't. A lot of us don't even know about it. So shout out to everybody that has a Black Man. If you want to make me real big, real quick, just a second, Derek. I want to show this shirt that I'm wearing is from a page in Black Man, Reverend Prayer. This is page 13 of the book. Shout out to Jay Napoleon who hooked this up for me, and that book itself is amazing. It is probably the precursor to Luke Cage. Story goes that the writer went in to sell Black Man to Marvel, and a few months later, Luke Cage comes out. So, so if you look at the design of the book, the cover itself, whatever, that's Luke Cage. The chains and all that was somebody else's idea. So, we don't want to accuse Marvel of stealing, but hey, it's Marvel. Y'all know how that goes. So anyway, #3, Brother Man #1. I do feel like in the 90s, this particular comic book was hot like fire, but it's cooled off certainly. Now you can get this book for a decent price, but when we talk about things like hip hop, this book literally is a hip hop comic book. It's drawn, it's aesthetic, it's all hip hop. It's one of my favorite books. I just love the character. All he got is hands, and that's all he needs. And his saying is, everything's gonna be all right. So I just feel like Brother Man needs to get a little bit more love. #4 for me is Lobo. Okay, I don't know where the 31 come from, but that's Lobo #1. I do think that book is, Rico said something earlier about the book actually being, kind of transferred or crossed over organically. And I do believe some of that's there, but because some of us are old heads, we remember Westerns or whatever. When I was a kid, my dad took me to go see at the movie theaters The Legend of Nigga Charlie. Took me to go see Thomasine and Bushrod. That's Max Julian for those of you that may or may not know. And Buck and the Preacher, which is Sidney Poitier and Harry Belafonte. So when it comes to Westerns, y'all can't see Rich. I'm sorry. I'm that dude. But so, what I'm saying, that's what some people, that's one of the few things that a lot of people don't know about me. I am a Western buff. But I do feel like Lobo is an amazing book. I was gifted a Lobo, and so that was one of the best gifts I've ever gotten from anybody, and I will always cherish it. So for that reason. Also, last book, War of the Independents #2. Now I'm gonna tell you why this book I feel like is underrated.
Tell us,
#1,
Rich.
because I was the dude. There was a post put up in our space, and the book was going for some money or whatever, and I just did not see why that book was going for the bread it was going for, right? And I put up a post about it, and so after thinking about it, and then after seeing Rico's response, shout out to Rico. Rico really belongs in this chat. I mean, he's in the chat, but he really belongs in this forum. But he put up a crying emoji. It was enough for me to delete my comment and to think and to reconsider what I had said. And I watched this book. An opportunity to get this book showed up. I watched this book for a few days, and then I decided to pull the trigger. And I did not initially know that this was a Larry Stroman book. It's the has a number. Paul talked about the number of Marvel black characters on a cover, but this book by Anvil has several black comic book characters on it. And again, you know, I just got to say that when you're trying to collect, and it's important to listen and learn. And you know, this is one of these books that I have in my collection simply because I didn't know, but someone had to like school me, so to speak. And so I think that's one of the cool things about our space, man, that people put us up on things that we have no clue, no idea, or understand the significance of it. And the funny thing is, there are many of these characters I am very familiar with, whether it be Captain Africa or whether it be Chuck D and Flavor Flav or Public Enemy. So I just feel like more people need to know more about that, whatever, on the independent side. Marvel and DC gets all the love, and you know the independents sometimes don't get the shine and the love that they deserve. So that's why I feel like that book is underrated. So yeah.
Hey Richard, can you hold the book back up? Just want to show something. One thing that confused me when I was looking at the book. So this book, you see the front cover, but if you turn it around,
yeah,
I guess it's in. Okay, yeah, because the back cover is also a front cover, but it's upside down. So you gotta flip it. So if you see either one of those two, it's going to be the same book.
Yes, the same book. Absolutely.
Yeah. And we did have a few other comments. We had a few other comments in the chat with some people that listed some underrated books. We had let's see,
Stormwatch 25.
Yep.
Or Stormwatch #1 for that matter. First appearance of Battalion, one of the most powerful characters in Image's.
And another Black Lightning. And then Liberator, Images and Realities #1. Anybody know that one?
Not familiar. Not familiar.
Okay. All right.
Rico got to put up a comment about Harlem Youth Report. I think that's going to show up, Rico, in one of our segments down the road. So I love Professor Time, boy. He be on it. He be talking about I'm here to just learn. I'm like, I don't know what are you learning, Rico? Are you learning how ignorant we are? Or because this dude knows a lot of comic book information. I love that dude. That's my brother. He is an amazing guy who has an amazing collection. So yes, iron sharpening iron in this group. That's what's up. Yeah. So anyway, guys, look, we're gonna take a commercial break. When we come back, we are going to turn this over to the GOAT of foreign collecting, Mr. Robert Fordman. And Mr. Fordman is going to take us through a plethora of books. And you think some of these books we've talked about are amazing. Wait till my man do what he does. So Derek, please take us out. We'll be right back. Don't go nowhere, y'all.
I think we need to call an audible here. That was not working. So let's pull up another one here.
Okay. Yeah.
Have you ever wanted to read a story with a poetic musical twist? Batman Jazz is that genre. Written by Gerard Jones and illustrated by Mark Badger, the story is about a legendary jazz musician and his desire to play jazz when and where he wants to. There are lots of twists and turns in this story, but suffice to say that Bluebird, who the story is about, shares more than his love for jazz, but he makes a point to teach Batman a thing or two. It's a great story, it's gritty, it's poetic, it's reflective, it's aptly titled Batman Jazz. It's a 3-issue mini. I'm sure you will enjoy it. It'll be a welcome addition to your collection. And please, if you like this video, share the video, subscribe to the channel, and thank you for listening. Peace.
All right.
All right, we're back. Sorry about that. I had to go feed the dog. So, when we talk about collecting, there are unique ways to collect, and our esteemed guest, Mr. Robert Foreman, is one who has chosen to collect in a way that is very, very amazing to me, and also very, very important. Our books are all over the world. I think that sometimes we get caught up in our little bubble called America, and we forget that there are people of color all over the world. There are people in general all over the world reading these stories. So I am going to step away and ask my man to come to the front of the congregation and be a blessing. Mr. Robert Foreman, floor is yours, sir.
I appreciate all of you. I have to remind myself that I'm in the podcast, like I'm at home, watched it, and nobody hears me. So I had to, like, wait, I'm in the podcast. Hold on, I'm looking weird. Let me change my face a little bit. But as you all know, I'm Robert Fordham, Rob's Comics 81 on IG. And the first book up I have right now is Superman's Girlfriend, Lois Lane 106. And as you can see here, I have the international books that's been published around the world. Now, to bring you full up to speed with foreigners, they didn't have a bag and board culture like we did. You know, when we get a book, you know, probably in the 80s, we would take the book, put it in a sleeve with a piece of cardboard and plastic, seal it up, and take it out what we needed. In other countries, they didn't have a newsstand to go to. It would be either hanging from a string or out in the weather. So when you think of that book that's on the bottom right-hand corner, the Arabic, that one was on a newsstand outside. Now, when I say Arabic, that's anywhere like Egypt, Israel, or any of those different countries in that area where you think of the weather, you think of the humidity, you know, the deserts, things of that nature. So when you think of books like these, you know, I have the book right here in my hand. So a lot of this, you can just see how weathered the book really is. And even culturally, you know, we open our books from this way, but in this case, it goes the other way. It's in Arabic, as you can see, the spine's on the right-hand side. And as you can see, they don't have the date, no price stamp, none of that. There's no newsstand. There's a comic on the back. So a lot of these books don't have the ads that our normal DC books would have. And then we start thinking about price variants. You think of one is from Spain, one is from Mexico. And, you know, you can see the difference. Knowing these little different nuances at the bottom, you'll see pitas and then pesos. That's how you're able to tell between the two. But, you know, when I grab these books because, one, you can see the color differentiation between the two Lois Lanes.
Right.
A lot of times they didn't give them the love of, you know, giving the melanin that she deserves. She might be pale in one, dark in another. And then, you know, now this one's special. This is Brazilian. And the one I showed this one earlier with Derek before everybody jumped on, but in Brazil, her name was Miriam, Lois Lane. It wasn't until the 90s that they actually changed it to Lois Lane. It took that first Christopher Reeves movie for them to realize, like, wait, her name is Lois? I thought it was Miriam. So a lot of times it was confusion on their behalf to say that that's not my Lois Lane, that's not my Miriam. So this is one of those books now. I've only seen this book 3 times. I bought one, and the other 2 went to someone else, and another guy owns an 8.5, and he's in Maryland as well. And I believe that's on eBay right now. That's a little cornbread for you guys out there, but, you know, just so you know, there's only 2 on the census. This is one, and he has the other. So when you think of Brazilian books, anything above a 6.0, is pretty much the best you're going to get. Anything else would be like a 4.5 or 3.0. But a lot of times they would replace the staples. They would do their restoration in the printing press to fix it with marker to fill in the black holes. So a lot of times you'll see the purple label if it gets graded, but don't worry about that because that was done the date of release. So I'm not. Can y'all hear me?
Yep.
Yes,
okay.
Sir.
So I know for a lot of this, everybody will think like, well, I'm a 9/8 snob. I'm one of those guys that I'd rather secure the book first and worry about grade later. So when you see a 5.5 or 6.5, don't be turned off by it. Just know when you buy it, you won't see another one for a while. Like I said, I've been collecting foreign since 2018, and I've only seen this book 3 times. That tells you how rare it is. Now, I don't have a lot of money. I'm not rich, but I went the other route. If I couldn't afford the U.S., I thought foreigners would be my outlet, and I said to myself in the beginning that I would get as many black characters I could find or I could get my hands on when I got in. And I had to say thus far I've been successful in finding as many as I could. And I shared some images with Derek that we can definitely go through from time to time. But this isn't all the ones I have, but I just know for a fact that some of these I've only seen once or maybe twice.
Okay.
Hey, any more you want to share? Any more of the images?
Yeah, you can go to the next one. All right. Now, Mighty Man. Mighty Man is a character that's kind of like Icon, if I had to give an example. But he was a character developed in Africa during apartheid. This was their way of showing that their rule or their, ruling with an iron fist to conform to their rules or their laws was put into this book, and they used Mighty Man as a propaganda tool. So a lot of these books, now I use a resource called South African Comic Blogspot.net, and these were produced in the thousands, like 40,000 copies each issue, because it was put out as propaganda given out for free. Now, how many survived is the real question, but I know for this that this is probably one of the most sought after books in Africa because most of these were burned. And that's just because, it was like, oh man, this character's trash, but a lot of people held on to him. But being burned, that's kind of the same thing we went through here where the Comics Code Authority came into play. But you think of this in another country with assassinations going on, people being killed, righteously killed or unrighteously killed in other instances. This book was used as a leverage to say, hey, if you conform to these rules, you'll be okay. But any of these books are super rare. Even the people in country can't find it. I've been searching for years. I have 3 of them. I have a beat on 3 of them, but it has not gotten to me yet. But as I said, I've been collecting since 2018. Here it is. We're looking, 5, 6 years down the line, and I'm still like, man, I still don't have one. So if you ever see any of these, your best bet is to get it while you can, because it is a piece of history as far as like black characters in other countries.
And what year was this again? Do you know?
From what I saw, 1976, I believe. But I know this one went on for almost 18 issues.
All right.
All right, Wonder Woman 206. Unfortunately, my books got caught in the wind of CGC's estimated wait times in an economy tier. For those of you that send up to CGC, you know what I'm talking about. Most of these are going to be the only one on the census. When I say only one, I mean like even I've only found one. The Australian one is the only one on the census. That's the one in the middle, the world's finest. The Marvilla, that's the only copy I've ever seen since I've been searching. The one to the left of that, the Super Amigos, that's the #1 in Brazil, volume 2. That one's a little bit smaller than the regular size comic, but that one's thick. I'm talking like maybe 72 pages or so. It's 2 stories in that one. But shout out to my man Phil. He helped me out getting the Wonder Woman 206 US double cover. He was at a con in Pittsburgh, and he told me about it. And I tried to get it from the guy. He put me on hold for months, and I was able to get a double cover Wonder Woman 206 American, and that's a part of this set as well. Can't wait to see what that come back as. I got it cleaned up and pressed, and when I get all of these back, I'm gonna jump back on here with you guys and reveal it all at once. So I'm building up slowly to get these books in my hand before I do that. But I love this set. Took me a while to get it, but I got them.
That's a dope set, man.
Appreciate that. All right, Luke Cage.
Hey.
Now Luke Cage, he has a book in South Africa, the upper left-hand corner. That one's important because that came out around the same time as Mighty Man. And that one is significant because, like I said, it came out during apartheid. But you would think Marvel would be printing anything at that point in time over there because of all the things going on, but they did. You know, you have South Africa. The one in the middle is Italy. The one to the right of that is Australia. Now, the one just below that is Spain. Now, that one in the center, that's the Brazilian. I'm not going to front. I only seen that book twice. And I had 4 people in South America right now looking for a copy. No dice. So when you say the word rare to me, I'll laugh because I'm thinking like, oh, it's only 1,000 out there. That's rare. It's only rare when you hear the word 3 or 2. When you hear that number, you just be like, man, am I ever going to find one? It might pop up, but it might not pop up when you have the money for it. So a lot of that plays into it too. But the one just below that with the yellow Marvel, that's Brazilian as well, but that's a digest size book. And then the one to the left of that is I'm going to say the Nordic. I can't remember what country that is. I want to say it's the German, but it's not. And the one to the right of that, Mac Division, that's Mexican. And most of these are, you can forget 9/8. It's virtually impossible. The highest I've heard on any of these books is a 9.0, and that's on the Italian. So that one's tough in its own. You can go to the next image. Now, for you FF52 fans out there, I don't own all of these. It was too expensive for me in the beginning because it was already getting heat because of 2018 Black Panther just came out. So everybody was trying to cash in on this. But the one thing I will tell you is that the Fantasticos, that's the La Prensa, you want to get the book that's closest to the release date. The Los Fantasticos is the closest to the US date. The Pence in the US came out the same time on a printing press. And we've heard from Marvel themselves saying that they put out the Pence in the US at the same time. They printed it in the US and sent it over to be sold in other countries. But the La Prensa is probably 2 or 3 months after the US print. The Italians came out like in the 90s, and the ones from the middle all the way down to the bottom, all of those came out in various countries like Finland, Denmark, German. You have Spain in there, and you have the Dutch. And then there's another set. There's one more image with more books on it. Now, the 2 at the top left, those are tough. Now, to my understanding, it's only 500 printed of each of those. The first one to the left is a hand-painted image in a Lug Comics, which is like Italian. But, in the French, they use the same cover. But I know that's a first print and a second print. The first print is tough. I think the cheapest I've seen one so far was $350. And the one next to that is a second print. That one I've only seen twice. I bought it the first time when I saw it. And then the second time I said, oh, my copy's a little bit better. I'll let somebody else get it. But now I wish I would have grabbed it. And then now the one just below that, it has a story inside, but it does not have the cover. That's the Mundi Comics. That's Spain. So when you see that, it's a huge debate between having the guts or the cover. We're all cover driven. If you see the cover, you know what that book is. But in this case, it has the guts of FF52, but not the cover. They gave a lot of their work to local artists to do it, And that's what this is. This is an artist in Spain that did that cover for the FF52. Yeah, my man Phil got one down there. You and me, Phil.
No, listen, I got a couple, but I'm gonna let Robert do his thing. He's the king of this.
All right. And as you can see, Derek talked about that 1 in 1,000, but you see someone added that to their set too, right there with that unused image in the bottom left-hand corner. And he got the True Believers there, and he had that Italian trade paperback. Now that one's about 125 pages. It has like 5 stories in it. And this is the complete FF52 set. So for those of you that need these images, I'm pretty sure Derek will share it on Black Comic Lord's Facebook page for anybody that want to take a look. Keep an eye out for them. They are starting to show up in the States a lot more, but to know what you're looking at, you definitely will need a reference, because otherwise you'll be like, I remember seeing it somewhere, but I don't remember where. Tomb of Dracula 10. Now, in the beginning, I'm with Paul. I wanted to buy a U.S. copy, but couldn't afford it. This was my avenue. Now, do I own all of these? No, I don't, because like I said, some of them were too tough to track down. But I know for a fact that I have the 9.0 French Canadian, which is the bottom row center book. Now, the French Canadian is only printed in one province in Canada, and that was in Quebec, which means you think of a population in Quebec, you're thinking under 15,000 residents, only 100 people collecting books. How many were actually printed, God only knows. But let's just say I got hate. I have hate coming my way from Canada because I own the highest graded book on any census, CGC or CBCS.
Congratulations.
So, yeah. But that's another thing about this too. When it comes to other countries, you can change your settings on eBay to find certain books, but a lot of them won't ship to the US. A lot of people are fighting to keep some of these books in the States, so it could be a part of their history too. But like I said, I started hunting for Black characters, and I got my hands on all the ones I could. Phil always got a flex, but it's cool. All right, I have to say this is probably my favorite set. It took me years to try to track these down, but believe it or not, I did not own the U.S. first, and I had the 8.0 Mark Jewelers. I found it for a hell of a deal. But the pride and joy of this set for me is that 9.2 Brazilian. I don't think I'll ever find one better than that one, because it was extremely clean. But I know for a fact I have both of them here. I have the 5.5, but I own 100% of what's on CGC Census. I have the 9.2 and the 5.5, the only 2 graded on any platform. So,
man, say that again. I don't think people heard how dope that was. You own how much percent on the CGC Census of this book?
100%. The 9.2 and the 5.5. The 5.5 is right here.
Man, that's dope. I gotta give it up. That's fresh.
Now, the thing about this is that part that tripped me out the most is that when it comes to the U.S. and Australian, they flip the image where you have Nubia on one side and then they flip it to the other. But I know for the most part, when it comes to this, the Brazilian, they did something cool. They didn't do ads. They put the comic on the back so you could see it. They give you a taste of the page. And they wasn't afraid of putting the melanin on Nubia either. They gave her skin. It was, it's a beautiful copy of how they did it. Gave it its own little thing. And then, with the Australian, they flipped the image, like I was saying before. But most of these, but the one cornbread I can give you want to talk first appearances. The U.S. isn't the first print of Nubia. The Dutch is the one to the far left in that image. The Dutch is the first print. I think it came out maybe, from what I saw, it was 2 months before the U.S., which I'm still tracking down to see what the street date is, but I think that Dutch is probably the first printing of Nubia in any comic. So if you guys ever come across a Dutch one, just go ahead and grab it because CGC dated that one first, and I'm trying to figure out from people in the country if that is fact, if that is true or not. But it's definitely the one to grab if anybody looking to get their hands on any of these foreigns. It's just fun, man. It's just the history behind it, knowing what they've been through. You can see these books have been loved on, like that Mexican Marvilla. You can see someone wrote their name on it because what's the first thing you do as a kid, whether it's an East Bay book or an ESPN or Hoops magazine, you write your name on it because it's yours, right? Some of these guys put their name on it just to show that it was theirs. So I had to get that. Sad to say, I bought that book from someone that needed money for bills, and he didn't want to sell it. But as you can see, a 3.0, I didn't care because that was the only time I seen this book. So it's a chance of luck. Like I said, I didn't have a crap load of money, but you know, a lot of these people are selling books from collections, not necessarily at a show or selling it on eBay. It's because I knew somebody that knew somebody saying, "Hey, my friend needs help. You know, he's going to sell you the book, so you have some money." I was like, "Sure, I'll help out. I'll even send him a couple more dollars because, you know, if it's going to a good cause, I want to make sure you don't feel cheated out of your book." So
that's good stuff.
But that's it.
You know what's crazy, real quick though, about the foreigns is that there was a point in time where they were frowned upon. People looked at them as, you know, second printing, so you could find them like super cheap. In the last couple of, and I was collecting foreigns before it was a thing, not to the level that Robert was, but I was collecting foreigns as well. But now it's to the point where CGCs even recognize, oh, we got to put special cases with the foreigns, with the information on them, because before it would just be, there's no telling what you would get with that. So don't sleep on the foreign game. Like that's another niche, and it's another wave that's becoming bigger and bigger every day. So get in early if you plan on getting
in. Yeah, I'm like this. If that's the case, you would think the Bible would be considered a reprint of the U.S. because, you know, you print it in a different language. They think it's not the same printing, but this is the first time they've seen it in their country. So is it considered a reprint? No, it's considered an edition, like it's a book. So that's kind of the verbiage change between the two. But 520, actually comics 521, the first Vixen. I know Paul brought it up earlier, but you know the deeper cut for me is she came out the week of my birthday, 1981, July. So did it come out on Thursday? Who knows? But you know, comic book day is Wednesday, right? So it came out the same week, and I tracked down every copy I could find, and I put it to my set. So this is a special set for me. When I get a chance to put on the wall, it's gonna be all together. I want to get a 9.8 of the US, but
it's only 33 of those.
Yeah, I know, but there isn't a Mark Julius for this, is it? That's the part I couldn't figure out. I know that I have the one with the Atari insert on the inside, but I did not see a Mark Julius.
Haven't seen one. Unfortunately, CGC doesn't give that info on their census. You get kind of basic info. Doesn't even list out newsstands or anything like that. So,
right, yeah. But I got the one with the Atari insert on the inside with the contest on it, so I do have that one. But this is the known set that I have with Vixen. Truly is an underrated character. All right, for you Miles Morales fans out there. Now, me and Rico went back and forth. Now, me and Rico went back and forth about this. The toughest book in this set is that one on the upper right. Consists the one with the white banner over top of the Ultimate Fallout. That's the Brazilian. That one, no, not the Brazilian. I'm sorry. That is the Spanish one. That was the toughest one because I've only seen that book probably 3 times. The Russian, I've seen plenty. It might be under 100 that I know is out there, but I know that Spanish Euro one is probably the toughest one to track down. It only shows up a handful of times a year. and it's going to be tough, especially if you're trying to complete this set. Everybody knows what Miles is, and it's going to be a beast to try to get the Russian in the 9.8. I know somebody got like a 9.8 sold for $350, but I know that was a steal. But I know most of these, I sold the white banner one in the middle. I sold that for like maybe 800 a year or two back because it was a great condition, and I'm mad I did it, but I used that to get something better. But
which one
you
is
don't
the
need to
middle one?
talk about it, huh?
What country is the middle one from? The white banner one that you talked about?
French. That's the French.
French. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
So, do we have any more of that? Is that pretty much it?
No, that's. I think that's all that Mike that Rob gave us.
Yeah. We'll be here all night if I pull out my
So-
collection.
So, guys, I want to just give you a heads up. Stay with us to the conclusion of our show because we're going to have 2 giveaways. So those of you guys that are in the chat, I want you guys to hang out, stick around. We still got more to get to. When we come, we're going to go to commercial break. When we come back, we're going to talk about the most important black keys. And we'll get into some things about, a key moving to a grail. And, should be a dope conversation. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
What comic announcement are you most hyped about?
Got it. I am most hyped about Silver Surfer Ghostlight #1 coming out February 2023, starring Albie Harper, who is becoming one of Marvel's newest black superheroes. Gonna be dope. What about you?
I can't. First of all, I just gotta say, Silver Surfer is my absolute favorite as a little kid, so I am right there with you.
Oh yeah, and
I
it's like
cannot
based
wait.
on like an old Stan Lee story. Look, I'm not gonna spoil stuff. They gotta go to Marvel.com, check out the press release. But
we'll talk afterwards. Just me and you for all that.
I know some
Silver
things.
Surfer.
I know
okay.
some secrets.
All right.
Marvel announced a new Silver Surfer limited series that has special meaning for the Black Comic Lords community. The series is Silver Surfer Ghostlight. Ghostlight is written by fellow Black Comic Lord and Eisner Award winner John Jennings, with art from Bitch Planet and Black Manta artist Valentine Delandro. The story follows a girl named Toni Brooks, who moves to a strange new town where nothing is quite what it seems. But whatever's going on is so out of this world that it actually attracts the attention of one-time Herald of Galactus, the Silver Surfer, to investigate. What mystery did Toni and her family unravel that would call upon the sentinel of the spaceways, the Silver Surfer? And just who or what is Ghostlight? The answer to the question of who or what is Ghostlight can be found in another question, as piqued by the rest of the solicitation text, which promises the limited series will introduce a new Marvel superhero 54 years in the making. What happened 54 years ago can be found in Silver Surfer #5, which contained the storyline And Who Shall Mourn for Him, in which a character named Albie Harper sacrifices himself to save the world. In Silver Surfer Ghostlight, Harper will return as a hero named Ghostlight with nano cloud powers. A 2021 post in the Black Comic Lords Facebook group covered Al Harper's brief story, which takes place in Silver Surfer #5 from January 1969. In this story, Al Harper rescued and helped the Silver Surfer who had fallen to Earth. Al built the Silver Surfer a complex device to penetrate the galactic barrier. He then sacrificed himself to disarm a bomb made by the stranger which would have destroyed the world. For all these deeds, Al gained the Silver Surfer's respect, so much so that the Surfer marked his grave with an eternal flame. Ultimately, it was Al's sacrifice that gave the Silver Surfer hope and respect for humanity.
Silver Surfer #5 is a historically significant comic book issue. Marvel Comics' New York Comic Con announcement means that Albie Harper will be one of the earliest appearing African American characters in Marvel history to eventually become a superhero.
This book also played a major role in the genesis of the popular fantasy series ElfQuest, whose creator, Wendy Fletcher, had her letter published in this issue. Richard Penny chanced upon Wendy's letter and then reached out to her in hopes of meeting her. From that, they eventually married and co-created ElfQuest. If you don't already own Silver Surfer number 5, you should pick it up quickly, as this book may become more pricey in the very near future. Also, be sure to add Silver Surfer Ghostlight to your pull list. Buy the comics. Read the comics. We'll see you at your local comic stores. If you like this video, please subscribe to and share our YouTube channel. Thanks for watching. Peace.
All right. Yo, we're back. So now is the time we're going to talk about what we feel, in our humble opinions, the most important books or the most important Black keys. And, you know, and the chat's been kind of going off about books that we should include. And I don't know if some of those books made the list, but, you know, again, all of these lists are subjective, you know, whether it's personal taste or whether it is historical significance or whatever. You know, these are what we feel are our most important. And guess what, Rico? We might miss an issue or two. Don't hang us up over that, my brother. So that's what's up. So, Derek, who we got up first? We got Big Phil.
Big Phil. Phil, you're on mute.
All right, I just unmuted myself. Let's get into it. So for me, my most important, and you know what, this list fluctuates. So this was just, you know, tomorrow I'll have 5 different books, but my number 1 will always be all Negro comics. And number 2 will always be Fantastic 452, first appearance of Black Panther, a character my father introduced me to. And he's pretty much the most important Black character in the Marvel universe, and quite frankly, probably the most popular character in the comics right now. To be honest with you, and Weird Fantasy 18. That's a particular book that it was one of the first overall keys that I always wanted. You know, like literally, when we just talk about keys in general, that was a book I always wanted. I'm blessed to have a couple copies now. It's just such a significant book. Every Black collector needs to own that, as well as the Fantastic 452. That is a book that you should strive to get. It has a historical significance. EC Comics got in a lot of trouble when they tried to reprint it in their last issue. There's a lot of history behind that book, but do your research. Crown Comics number 3 for all the things we've been saying, and Negro Romance number 1. Just the fact of seeing African Americans in the comic book space in a romance title, it's just huge. So for me, all Negro Comics number 1, Fantastic 452, Weird Fantasy number 18. Those are my top 3. We could argue about the other 2 all day, but those top 3, those 3 that I listed need to be in your top 5.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Let's move. What we got? Who's up next?
All
Mr.
right,
Mike.
What's going on, Richard? All right, my list, it's a little different than everybody else's. Some of the same characters. Well, started off with Fantastic 452. In my opinion, it's the most important book as far as Black characters are concerned, and I feel like a key that everyone should have. What character can you say is as big as he is on movies, cartoons, voiced a lot of TV shows? Just overall, seems like everyone seems to love T'Challa. So you've seen all the grief about him not being recasted, so it's enough energy behind him even when he's not even in the film that he's important. I mean, it might be the first film in history to not have the main character and still almost net almost $500 million so far. So
I mean, you're trying to open up old wounds, Mike. You're trying to open up these old wounds.
hey, I'm just throwing it out there. So to me, that's the most important book, and I think for my list, I kind of list books that are kind of attainable. They're not necessarily cheap. I'm not saying that, but they are as far as books that are out there that you can actually attain in your hands. Number 2 on the list, we have Luke Cage, Hero for Hire. This past, I say, month or two, Luke Cage 9.8 sold for $100,000. And to my knowledge, that might be one of the highest selling black keys almost of all time. So great character, historical wise. A good base for any comic collector to have in their collection. So for that reason, I chose Luke Cage Hero for Hire 1. Number 3, I have Green Lantern 87. To my knowledge, I think it was Green Lantern 87 9.8 just recently sold for around, I think it was 14,500, which is the new record for that book as well. Compared to, like I said, Luke Cage, it just sold for $100,000. 14% of that isn't nothing to slouch on, but still a lot more affordable for a book that's main characters in TVs and cartoons. As far as we're concerned, he is the Green Lantern over Hal Jordan, and I think everyone kind of universally agrees. So, and the first 4, like I have on my list, to me, those are like the biggest main 4 characters in mainstream Cape and Cow comics. At my number 4 is Captain America 117. It's the first appearance of Falcon. His characters have been around for over 40 years. Universally loved. You see Falcon in movies, TV. He's actually about to get his own feature Captain America film. It's not a bad book to have in any collection, so I added as one of my most important books to have. And at number 5, I have Ultimate Fallout 4. Although it's more of a modern book, I think the popularity behind this character is as big as it is. Given down the line, one can say that Miles might be the most important Marvel character going forward because all the kids that grew up on it, the films, we're about to get another one here as well. It's also a book that you can get that's I hate saying affordable, but compared to some of these big keys like a X-Men 1 or a Fantastic Four 1, something like that. These books right here are actually more affordable, more attainable, and the value within our community is very important with them. And then I'm going to do an honorable mention for my homeboy Rico out there. I'm going to do Friday Foster, number 1. If under my understanding, Friday Foster is the very first solo woman titled character comic, so she has her own title. It was actually a film by and was that in the 70s there, Foxy Brown leading. So big hopes that we might get maybe hopefully something going forward with Friday Foster, maybe a show, maybe a movie. I don't know, somebody out there in the space, Rodney Barnes, maybe something you might throw in your wheelhouse there. But this was my most important list for my own reasons. So
that's what's up, Mr. Derek.
All right. So my list, I've got All Negro Comics at number 1. I just think it's historically important. The challenges of the time, and even the fact that that as I understand it, there was a second issue that was supposed to come out that was going to be focused more on sports stars, and they just couldn't buy that. They were not able to procure the paper for it. I'm guessing nobody's been very clear about it, but I'm guessing that no company is willing to sell them the paper to be able to print this book out. So I'll just say, another thing I just wonder is, I wonder, because the book was actually finished, it just was never printed. I wonder if that is still sitting around somewhere. That would be awesome just to see that. Number 2, Fantastic Four, number 52. and for all the reasons mentioned. And I'll just add to that Black Panther has crossed over into mainstream now. It's mainstream popular with casuals, and then what that does is it just expands the imaginations of so many, especially kids, in the same way that some of the historical white characters had done for white children. Now, a black child has, a mainstream character that they can kind of look up to. So that just really means a lot. And so that's why I had that number two. And then number three, the number ones from Milestone. So Static Icon, Blood Syndicate, and Hardware. This was a group of all black writers, I believe, who wanted to make their own comics, and the fact that they were able to do that and to sell so many copies and to have a run, especially for Static, that lasted so long and continued was just great. And I think that group of writers and these books inspired so many more creatives, that it's so extremely important, not only for what it was at the time, but for what it is for so many creatives today. And then we look at people like Paul, right? I mean, that book is, or those books have completely inspired readers like Paul as well. People who were, children of the 90s, or teenagers or even early adults in the 90s. They really latched onto these books. So just very important for that reason. And I know Weird Fantasy was already mentioned, but and you guys know I love that one, and I've got three of those as well. So that's just a personal favorite of mine. And I just love the story behind that book. And that's a book that some people complain about, saying there's too much politics in comics today, but you can read that story, Judgment Day,
Talk about it.
in Weird Fantasy, and that'll answer your question as to whether or not there's politics in comics going all the way back, to the 50s and before. So, the fact that you could put a black character as an astronaut in this book to decide whether or not a race of robots will be able to join the Galactic Federation based on how civilized they are, and you don't even know it's a black astronaut to that last panel. That's just an amazingly written story, and that's why I love it so much. Okay, hold on. Paul's flexing now. Let me switch this. There you go, Paul. Yeah, that's just an awesome story and panel. So, by the way, I think this book could be worth so much more, but the cover just isn't that appealing, to be honest with you. So, I think the cover holds that book back a little bit. And then I've got Crown Comics, just because I believe it's one of these attempts to actually create a black hero. My understanding on that one, and maybe somebody here on the panel, Enrico, can help me out. But my understanding is Buddha, who's the hero, he started out as he was a black character.
Yeah, they turned him white after a couple of issues.
Yeah, then they made him white because they still wanted to be a hero, but they didn't want him to be a black hero. So once again, we have folks who say, why can't you get your own heroes? When we see some characters being swapped. Not that I'm a big fan of swapping characters, race swapping characters, but so many times we tried to have our own heroes, and this is what happened. You can't have them in the cover, or we don't think we can sell the book, or we're going to swap them because maybe they're a viable hero, but we don't want them black, right? So I think I like to see these attempts, and I don't want these attempts to be lost, because all these trials that I think help the future writers and artists to try to figure out what is going to work.
And don't forget Matt Baker created Buddha too. We got to give it up to the GOAT as well.
Oh yeah. Matt Baker. Actually, I'll share this maybe in a few slides. But yeah, Matt Baker. Yeah, he's one of the greatest. We've already touched on him a little bit. We'll share another slide in a little while too. And then I also put in here Wonder Woman 204. I don't believe Nubia's the first DC black superheroine, but to me, she's a big one, and I know that she's she's definitely, I think, underrated right now, but I just think potentially she's got this potential to break out, and because of when she came out, the way she came out, and the potential there, I just put her as an important honorable mention. And we have another flex. Here we go, Phil.
I want to say Nubia came out actually before Teen Titans 48, but they didn't consider Nubia a hero at the time. So I think
Okay.
that's the caveat there. So technically, they list Teen Titans 48, first appearance of Bumblebee. That's considered DC's first black superhero.
All right. Thanks, Mike. Appreciate that. All right. So let's see. We got Paul up next. And Paul, you may be on mute again. No, you're not. Okay. Hold on, Paul.
Can you hear me now?
There we go. I got you.
All right. So let me get my volume adjusted here. I don't think this is my order. I'm not certain why my Fantastic 452 is number one. All Negro Comics should be number one. For the reasons we stated before. Fantastic Four, number 52 as number two. At this point, Black Panther is the most recognizable black superhero in the world because of the movies. So this is a must-have, as Phil would say. Eben, number one. As I said before, I think the significance of having just one of the first, if not the first, Afrofuturism comic book. I think Imani had put in the chat that there was a comic strip that was done by Larry Fuller before this. But this is the first comic book that was ever put out that had Afrofuturism as a sort of theme. Milestones, Derek put it, very succinctly and well, eloquently. I'm a huge Milestone fan. Was a huge Milestone fan from day one. That lot of 4 number one issues. That's just, as a black collector, you've got to have those. As far as I'm concerned, if you don't have those, you just really can't. That's mandatory. You have a company. It's almost like the question: what if All Negro Comics was allowed to succeed, continue, and succeed? You got a black-owned company, black creators, black characters. That's what Milestone did. They did it well, and they were successful. They're, as far as I'm concerned today, they're still the pinnacle of what black comics can be. If you read those comics to this day, they hold up. They absolutely hold up to this very day. For more information on that, check out our YouTube Roundtable series on Milestone Comics. Adam, Legend of the Blue Marvel, number one. I have this on my list. Can any of you guys on this panel name a black created superhero with his own title at Marvel Comics, other than Adam, Legend of the Blue Marvel, before Adam, Legend of the Blue Marvel?
Little Kids
Anybody?
Calvin. Little Kids Calvin.
What?
Calvin from Little Kids.
Say that one more time.
Calvin. Little Kids Calvin.
Superhero.
He's a hero to me, dog. He's a hero to me.
He's the first one. He's the first one. And I think it speaks volumes that up until very, very recently, he has been put on the shelf. He was so overpowered, as written intentionally by Kevin Greavy, that he's been ghosted by Marvel. this is a dude that and fingers crossed he shows up in the Marvels movie, and is not just shows up, but is present as he should be represented, and not just sort of a cameo, and not depowered. He's a game changer as a character, as far as I'm concerned. So those are my top 5.
All right. So that's most underrated. Well, all right. Most important, in my opinion, is All Negro Comics number 1 for a plethora of reasons. But the number 1 reason, and the reason why our space exists, is because iconography is very, very important. And you think about being able to see yourself in a comic book in a positive light, with someone who looks like you doing the art, someone who looks like you doing the writing. All of that's important. And it's been very important for a long, long time. And so we salute All Negro Comics, rightfully so, as being that book, because, again, it was during a time when the images that were out about us in comic books in general, the standard practice was to make us look like buffoons, to make us look like Sambos, to make us look like coons, to make us look like, animals or beasts or whatever. Very protruding lips and, just exaggeration to ad nauseum. And so All Negro Comics was the pushback from our community to say, no, this is what we look like. No, this is who we are. So for that reason, that book stands as the grail of grails in terms of Black comic reads. Number 2, Fantastic 452. Black Panther is that guy. He's the most recognizable superhero, like Paul said. And, he's a character that deserves all the props for being not only a dope character, but a solid character mainstay. There has not been an era that Black Panther has not, since it was created, has not been in. Some characters, they get put on the shelf and you don't see them for decades, but not so with T'Challa. He's been around from the very beginning, and he's still around, whether you like his writing, the book that's being written today or whatever. None of us can say that there is an era that Black Panther has not been in. He's been in every era, whether you want to go back to Copper Age or Silver Age to the modern age. Number 3, Weird Fantasy, number 18 again. That last panel is very, very telling, very, very important. The story behind that book was amazing and incredible. There was a lot of pushback. Just to get that book, that's what's up there. Just to get that book put out was the task. And so shout out to Gene Roddenberry and everybody that was around that time that made that happen. Number 4 for me, Jumbo Comics number 69. Of course, that's a Matt Baker book. And shout out to the GOAT. We all know that dude is that dude. I was telling somebody today, I was looking for some Matt Baker books, and we talk about how he drew women. He's kind of like there you go, that's what's up, Phil. He was the J. Scott Campbell before J. Scott Campbell. So, he got in trouble with comics in the industries. And so, it was a testament to his ability to be skillful, you know what I'm saying? And he was one of us. So Matt Baker is not a dope Black artist. No, Matt Baker is a dope artist. So that's
and
what's
he died.
up.
He died too soon too. Gone too soon as well.
Yes. I think he died in his 40s.
30s, I think.
30s. Yeah.
30s. Yeah,
wow.
Late 30s.
That right there, I tell you. And of course, number 5 is Eben. all of these books that are up here are very historic, which makes them important. And this is probably my favorite of all of them, to be honest, because again, this is an independent Black superhero title written by or created by a Black man. And Larry Fuller, shout out to the GOAT. He deserves his props, and his legacy is lasting. Whether we're talking about the stuff that happened with Black Kirby, through our brother Dr. John Jennings, and all of the things that they've done around this book and this character. This book has been it's been around for the longest, but no one until recent history knew about it, or people wrote about it. But as far as people seeking this book out, it was hard. You know what I'm saying? There's only 100 of them printed or in existence. And they are a grab for anybody that wants. I mean, if you find this book and you're able to get it, you should get it, but you're gonna pay a mortgage for it. But it's just that important. So for me, that's my number 5. If I could offer a number 6 or an honorable mention, it would be Green Lantern, Green Arrow '87, first appearance of John Stewart. I believe that is an incredible, iconic cover. That for that book to go for that money, Mike. You know what I'm saying? That people I think don't recognize that's a white cover, and to get that in a 9.8, good luck with that. So what I'm saying, if you can get a good grade out of that book, that's amazing in itself. But yeah. And John Stewart, has been an enduring character. He's been in a lot of books. He hasn't had his own title as of yet. I am looking to see a title book, Green Lantern, John Stewart, or a John Stewart book. Sean Rich said, we can't forget about Brother Man. It needs to be on the list somewhere. Well, brother, if you was here a little bit earlier, you would have saw I put Brother Man under my most underrated list. So shout out to you, Sean, for bringing that up. We know about Brother Man around here, brother. Yes, sir. So, with that being said, we want to transition to a conversation. But I think we're going to do a giveaway first, right, Derek?
Sure. We want to do a giveaway now? Absolutely.
Let's give away something, man.
Okay. All right. Mike, you ready to show off
Yep.
your item? All right, let's get Mike.
All right, for the first giveaway, we're doing a Black Panther action figure. I don't know if you can see here. There we go. Hasbro action figure, unopened, brand new in the box. Like I said, one of the most popular characters out right now, so it's always good to pair up a nice, combo here. So,
all right. So this first giveaway is for the Black Panther action figure from Mike, and I need to share my screen so you all can see. And what we need to do is anybody who's interested, just plug in pound or the number sign and Black Panther is one word, and we'll just take a minute or two to collect those names while I'm pulling up the giveaway tool.
Y'all got all of 2 minutes to get these instructions together.
There we go.
We're not gonna wait all day for y'all to sit there putting the pound and whatever. So we're trying to give some things away. So let's not have one of these senior moments. I know a lot of us is old in here, but let's get to it.
You know what? You gonna stop, bro.
Hey, Sean Richards, I'm a big fan of Brother Man. I think I actually have the only slab copies on the census currently. So
nice.
Little challenge to someone else out there to get the numbers up.
I had a nice high grade one, but they got tore up in the fire that I had years ago. So
I have 2, the first print, and then I have 3 still at CGC. They've been there for over a year now. The third print, so I'm waiting on those to come back. But yeah, not a book that's big on the census there, but definitely one of the '90s best right there.
So we got issues in Austin is Black Panther one word. Want to make sure you're getting it in right. And so make sure you do one word, no space. Same for you, Ronnie.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Ronnie, solid good.
Actually, it might be a good idea, Rich. Why while they're putting these in, why don't we just have part of the
Mhm.
next topic, and then we'll kind of pause for a minute and do
Okay.
the giveaway. All right.
All right. Yeah. So, guys, let's talk while they're getting that together. What moves a black key to grail status? A grail, we understand how we define it, um, can be quote unquote subjective, but at the same time, we recognize, like, for example, All Negro Comics is not it's a key, absolutely, but it's also a grail, which means that it is a once in a lifetime. It's like a Mount Everest achievement to grab that. And so, what we want to do is we want to have Paul bring up the blackcomiclords.net Grail page on our website. We want to bring that up just to kind of help us with this here, if he's able to. I don't know.
Yeah, I may need to do that too. Let me get that set up.
Okay, but yeah, we talk about Grails, guys. What in your opinion? I'm gonna ask Phil first. What in your opinion, Phil, moves a book from being just a key to a grail?
Unmute yourself, Phil.
Thank you, my
Unmute
brother.
yourself, Phil.
I feel like, a grail is a book is just universally recognized as this is that book. It transcends all categories, it transcends all niches, it transcends how anybody collects. It's one of those books that no matter what, you may not personally want to spend the bread on it, or you may not necessarily go out to go get it, but you will respect that as a grail. It's not up for debate whether or not it's a key or it's an important book, or there's no debate with it. Like it's definitive. That's what it is.
Right.
That's my opinion of a grail book. But I also feel that there's also personal grails, but that's in a whole other. A personal grail does not have to have a high monetary value. When we're talking grail, I'm talking about in the general sense of what a grail book would be.
Gotcha. Okay. So up there, as you see on the screen, guys, is a couple, or a few, I should say, grails. Some of which we talked about tonight. The Harlem Youth Report, that book in particular, that's considered a grail. And the significance of it, because it was a book that was a community book that they were using to try to educate the youth in Harlem, from what I understand. I know that there are only a few guys that have that book in their collection, and it's one of these books that was more of a community guide than an actual quote unquote comic book, but it's revered in our space for being somewhat of well, it's very, very rare. With all due respect to Robert, we use that word rare. I know we have to be careful, but it's a book that that I think it had a guide to go with it as well. Um, it's sought after by all of us or whatever. I know. I think Junie Bod, matter of fact, did a Black Panther or a Fantastic Four a homage of that cover. We weren't completely sure that that's what they were doing, but it eerily looks just like that cover. So that's one particular grail that we can look at too. So Mike, let me ask you, bro. Do you have any grails? And if you do, what is your thoughts about them?
Can we go back to that grail list?
Yes.
All right. So to me, in my opinion, a grail, what takes a book from a key to a grail, is a few things. One, I would say price, because it's usually a book that most none of us are going to just can afford. Also, I would say scarcity. A lot of these books that we look at as grails, there are maybe 100 to 200 on the census. Some like Ebon, there was only 100 printed. A book like Black Boy Fly. I mean, you rarely seen them come out till as recent, and you're going to spend a good $5 grand or so to get one. So, universally speaking, I would say it's books that each and every one of us would love to have, and are hard to kind of come by. Um, Looking at this list, I mean, I have pretty much all but all Negro comics, Suspense Comics 11. I don't have Black Boy Fly. Still after Crown Comics 3, and Harlem Youth Report. But the rest of these I pretty much got locked up, except King Comics 1. And I don't think no one in this space has King Comics 1. I think barely any of us really know much about it. Personally, me and Herschel did the research on that one. In our opinion, that's the first appearance of Lothar. Um, and just to throw a caveat in there, we're not even we. It's so rare and it's so hard to find. We don't even know for sure if Lothar is in there. We just know that his companion. This is his first comic opinion appearance outside the comic strips, and I want to say this is like 1941, maybe 1936, around that time. Um, so basically, King Comics is just a mock-up book of a whole bunch of different comic strips at the time, and Lothar just happened to be who we consider the first superhero, black superhero, but also one of the strongest as well. Uh, and this is also happens to be the first appearance of Popeye, so that's why this book is like
Crazy
outrageous,
expensive.
yeah, crazy
Crazy,
expensive.
crazy.
I mean, a low grade, you won't just come across this in a dollar bin. A low grade copy of this book is going to still run you 12, 13 grand. Uh, so this, in my opinion, is what I would consider a grail. If anyone knows how to actually read comics digitally and then can actually get an image of it inside of him or Mandrake the Magician, it would be great because we haven't actually even held one of these in our hand to see how important this book is. So.
Gotcha.
All right.
Okay. That's what's up.
Hey, Rich, let me break in. We'll do this. We'll do the first giveaway. So
All right.
10 more
Let's
seconds
make it
for
happen.
anybody who hasn't entered in Black Panther. So we've got 12 entries right now, it looks like. So pound sign and Black Panther, one word. We'll get this started in 10 seconds here.
All right. And also, please, guys, please smash the like button. You know, if you're in here and you've been enjoying the content, things, the discussion we'll be having, please hit the like button. If you have not subscribed, please do so as well. And click the notification bell for when we go live. You will know it, not only for my show, but for Paul's show, and even when the ladies do their lives as well.
And feel free to share as well. You know, afterwards you can share on your pages, you can share on your social media, share in your group chats. I mean, it's up to us to make this get bigger and bigger each and every week.
All right.
Absolutely.
So here we go. This is for the Black Panther action figure. We will draw now.
I feel like we're in a comic raffle and I'm about to lose again.
All right, Austin Crafton is the winner.
Congratulations.
Hey, even have Black Panther in his avatar there. Nice.
Right.
All right, so Austin, you could reach out directly to Mike through his Instagram, which is Super Slabs Comics. Is that right, Mike?
Yep.
Super Slabs Comics.
Or just send it over. Send your address over to Derek or Paul, Black Comic Lords. Either way, we get your address. We'll get it right out to you.
Yep. Either way. All right. So we will. Oh, now the next one. Anybody who puts in. So we do have another giveaway. I think Phil, you have one too.
Yeah, I got one.
Okay, let's talk about that one for a little bit here. Let's see. Gunhawks number one.
Right.
Nice. So just
That's
for
a
the
nice
audience,
cover.
what's the big deal about this book?
It's Reno Jones, Kid Cassidy. The Gunhawks is a black cowboy book. I sound like my dad. I said cowboy book. It's a Western. And Reno Jones actually was I want to say Reno Jones was the second African American to have his name in the title. Calvin was the first, I believe. We keep going back to little kids, Calvin. But what's significant about this particular book is that in the last issue, The next to last issue, Kid Cassidy, which was his partner, actually got killed. So in issue number 7, it was just called Reno Jones, the Gun Hawk. And that book is very hard to find in high grade. There's only 198 on the census. So Reno Jones, the Gun Hawk, and I'm gonna tell you this: Marvel has not gone into the Western forefront yet, and when they do, trust and believe, this is going to be something. This is a crazy undervalued book, in my opinion, in my expert opinion.
Okay, so
Hey,
anybody who
one thing to add on that, Phil. They actually brought Reno Jones back as a woman phoenix in.
I'm not. Listen, man. We ain't. Even, I'm not even entertaining that, man. We don't.
There you go.
I'm not entertaining that, man.
Hardcore to the year.
Look, man. I don't play them games, man. I'm not. Gun Hawks with Reno Jones. Reno Jones. That's what we doing here. We not, man. Listen.
Okay, now anybody who wants to be in that drawing, put in # Black Comics, all one word. We'll collect those as we continue the Grail discussion. So I guess we go back to Paul on screen.
Y'all out of control.
Oh man, that's what's up.
If y'all want to keep it on me, let's go. Hey, listen. So we didn't talk about the. Let's go back to that Grail screen real quick. Are we listing which one of the Grails we have also, or are we just talking about what is a Grail?
Yeah, we're just talking about what is a Grail because I mean many of the books that are on there you guys probably already have. Or it may be.
I can't see the 5th one over at the top. What's the 5th one over at the top? I can't see that one.
Suspense Comics 11.
Oh yeah, I don't have that one.
It's I haven't seen one pop up for sale anytime soon, but the last one did. It went for a good 12 grand, and it was like a low grade. So
nice.
1946. That's what's up.
It's one on my list, but yeah, it's not easy to find.
Yeah, there's a out of that Heritage collection. There's a really high condition one that sold last year, big time money.
Nice. Yeah, I got actually I have most of those on that list. I'm only missing like the mystery comics, the last 3 at the top, the Crown comics, and I don't have a Black Boy Fly, Harlem Youth Report, Eben, or the King's comics.
I have a mystery comics. I might be the only one in this group with one mystery comics one. Nice. First appearance of Wonder Man.
Nice. That's a Golden Age book too, correct?
Yep.
I'm just wondering, is there anything that you think might be missing from this list that we should be adding?
There's tons of books missing.
Oh man, tons.
As Grails.
Yeah, you don't have Matt Baker the one book on there. Like that's almost criminal to not have Phantom Lady on there.
Okay.
I mean criminal, like unforgivable criminal.
Tragic. You know what?
There will be no prosecution of the Black Comic Lords over these lists.
I forgot we got a lawyer in the building.
Watch what you say.
What else? What else do you think we're missing?
I mean, I can look at a book like Teen Titans 48, first appearance of Butterfly, first Black woman heroine or hero at DC Comics.
Would that be considered a Grail though?
In my opinion, I say so for the historical reasons, and I also go to, like I say,
personal growth. But that's a Grail.
It's a personal Grail for sure, but it's also the energy it brings. So if you guys recall in the summer when Phil actually got a copy of 9.8,
man,
it shook some noise for price it sold for, as well as a lot of different podcasts actually picked it up and started talking about it and actually took notice. So if DC actually decides to add a woman character, I would say Bumblebee would be probably in the top 3 Black women characters that would be added next to Vixen and Nubia. So in my opinion, I think it's one of those ones where I think it's up there.
You know what? And I agree. I feel like because the Grail doesn't have to be super monetary value. I think the one thing that Mike said that was dope was that, you know, sometimes we'll buy these books, and like he said, when I bought that book, I think I missed out on the one, then I bought the next one, and then it was all over the place in our circles, but it was on YouTube pages or whatever. And you know, part of that rumbling was because of, you know, me purchasing it or whatever. So when y'all make these purchases on eBay, it moves things. Trust me.
Hey,
Big time.
I have another question. So that one right in the middle of the page there, Strange Tales 169. Should that be on the Grail list?
Key Grail?
Grail. A Grail's a Grail.
I don't think that that's a hard to see. For me, for a Grail, I feel like there has to be some type of, it has to be kind of hard to attain, in whether it's monetary value or if it's just a scarcity. I think those Brother Voodoos at one particular point, you could grab them for like $20 a couple years ago. I think the price has just recently gone up, but I don't think that's a Grail book. I think it's a personal Grail, but I don't think it's an overall Grail, if that makes sense.
I would consider it a key. It's
Fair
one of
enough.
those books you can kind of go on eBay right now and still get. But price wise, I mean, Brother Voodoo is
It ain't
actually is selling for more than Green Lantern 87. So I mean, it's not far off. And let us get some energy in well, maybe the Doctor Strange 3 or something like that, with him being you know, up there. But yeah, I don't consider it a Grail.
I mean, I feel like for me, it has to check 3 boxes: scarcity, price, and significance. If I had to really give a Grail, it's like this Brother Voodoo, hard to obtain. Like, yeah, there's enough copies out there you could buy a copy. But you know, as far as being able to find one like a Black Boy Fly, that's scarcity plays into that as well. So Grail is like that white whale, like you just can't obtain it when you feel like it. You have to have the opportunity, the time is right, and you have the money to buy it. So I think that's my line of how a Grail works. Like, how many of you actually want this, right? Like, only see 3 copies, but you only see it once or twice. It could be a Grail for most. It might not warrant the price, but not being able to buy one would make it that much harder to make it a Grail. If I had to really give it some point of view, but that's just me.
Right. Okay. So
all right,
when we talk about this, go ahead, Derek.
Well, I was going to say we have 16 entries. I'll give maybe another 2 minutes for the next giveaway. Once again, what you need to do is just put in # Black Comics, one word, and we'll go to the next giveaway. What were you going to say, Rich? Give it 2 more minutes.
No, I was just going to say that, you know, personal Grails, you know, they definitely are different than quote unquote what might be considered a Grail. You know, somebody brought up the Age of X-Men Apocalypse and the Extracts #1, the variant. I know I've been personally looking for that book. That book is not easily find. I do believe that at some point I will find it on, whether it be on eBay or in the wild. But you know, some books that you just want to have for yourself or whatever is nothing outside of maybe the beauty of the art that draws you to it. Because to me, you know, there you go. Shout out to Mike. he was locked and loaded for that one.
Signed too, huh?
I will throw alley-oop. There's one for sale on Elite Comics right now, and it's on their sister page. I think it's like Elite Comics Center for $199. He actually dropped the price for $199. CGC 9.8, and it's signed. So if you head over to Elite Comics, you got a couple $100. You can get one shipped to your door.
And Elite Comics is, man, if you don't sleep, you can make deals.
You'll catch some good prices on there. But like I said, this is where I got my copy, and the same guy who sold me this one said he has another, and it's on there for sale. Like I said, for $200. And when I posted it, David actually came in and commented, and even the artist said, "Hey, he doesn't even have a copy. Like it's hard one to come by. So,
Right.
not a grail.
That's what's
I
up.
say a key.
Yeah, definitely. But maybe
Hey,
a
Richard, you
personal
mentioned
grail.
something about the Junie Ba cover homage to Harlem Youth Report. That
Yes,
is
sir.
from ex Black Panther legends, and it is here. That's the cover you're talking about, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That's issue 4 of X-Men. I'm sorry, I keep saying X-Men. Black Panther Legends issue 4, Junie Ba variant.
Yeah. You know, and
All right.
Rico said something earlier, real quick before you get to that. Rico said something earlier about the content that's available. That it is a comic book, but that the content that's in the book, nothing comes close to that. So, you know, again, that's one of those books that we can definitely, you know, call it a grail, and it's definitely something that is worth having because it's a history piece also, a part of just quote unquote just being a comic book. Yeah. So what we got there?
Okay.
All right.
So
Here
we got
go.
our black comics. We'll give 5 more seconds for anybody to put in black comics before we go in and see who's won this one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Here we go.
We needed some like music from Price is Right playing while this is going on.
May the odds forever be in your favor.
Right.
Phantom Realms Comics.
Hey,
so if you just send, congratulations, brother. If you just send over the address and we'll take care of it. So
yeah, send it to Black Comic Lord's email or Instagram, and we'll make sure it gets over to Phil.
I will send it off in an envelope with no protective packing, so however it gets there. and I'm sending media mail, so you won't get it till after Christmas.
That's cold, man.
Yes.
Yeah.
He got all that bread to get them books, but he gonna just be snail mail, my brother. Really? That's what we
Media
doing.
mail, man.
Now, did we have any other giveaways? I know we're running short on time, but were there any other giveaways? Uh-oh. All right, here we go. Let's
wait a minute.
Spotlight that one.
No. Who gonna give you somebody giving that away?
Yeah, that's what we doing all day.
So let's tell the chat about this one.
This is the first cover appearance of being I'm a foreign guy, you know. She has the British flag on her shoulder. Excuse me. And there is a version to this as well. I'm looking for it right now. I think it's probably on the shelf over there, but I'm getting this to trade dress and the version.
Ooh.
And I have a couple sets of these. I'm definitely gonna give it away. So you're gonna say Spider Woman 2K UK.
Oh, you want to do Spider Woman? You do Spider Woman UK?
Yeah.
Okay, hold on.
Robert, is that a Japanese Spider-Man T-shirt you wearing?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Man, all right, chat. So we got to change.
Still got to change.
Oh, sorry. Okay, Spider Woman UK. Let me share screen here.
Can
we give the chat a little bit of time?
Can we troll a little bit? Just a little bit while we doing that. You know, Miles Morales #1 just came out, right? By Cody Ziegler. And so you know, with this #1 coming back out, people are running their mouth saying that Miles Morales is not Spider-Man. And I don't know what side of the aisle you guys are on, but I do believe that he was Spider-Man. But some people just have it in their head that, you know, he's not Spider-Man, that's Peter Parker. So I'm just curious, I mean, what you guys thought? I mean, you know, he's the most popular character Marvel has other than Peter Parker. So, I mean, what are your thoughts about that?
I actually seen an interview where a modern day reporter was going around and asking little kids who was the alter ego of Spider-Man, and the majority of the kids answered Miles Morales. So I don't know if you've seen any 5-year-old kids watching Into the Spider-Verse, but they love it. And in 10, 15 years, the way we see John Stewart as our Green Lantern, I think a lot of people are going to see Miles Morales as their Spider-Man. So,
Okay,
I'm
Rico
working at
says,
elementary school.
I
I'm
think
sorry.
it's going to be a combination of both. I mean, Marvel's just going to keep getting the bag and getting the money. So, you know, they're at the point now where it's like, you know, we're going to do, you know, Spider Genie. So at this particular point, you know, just going to keep going it. But I think Miles Morales is here to stay. A lot of people didn't think he was. Peter Parker's not going nowhere. You know, Marvel's like, we trying to get 2 revenue streams. So they got Spider Punk and they're going to try to get that bread too.
right. So Rico says Miles is Kid Arachnid. I love the hardcore, man. The hardcore gonna keep it real. But to you guys' point, little kids, they do see Miles Morales as Spider-Man, and rightfully so, because again, guys guys in cartoons, guys in video games, and he's got books. So, but will Ultimate Fallout, that grail we talk about, will it reach that grail stuff? So
And we're at
are
16
we ready,
entries.
Derek?
Yeah, we have 16 entries so far. Robert, could you show that off again? Yeah, there you go. And he's also got The Virgin. So, you know, this is awesome. 2 books, including The Virgin, Spider-Woman UK, pound sign in front of that. Put your name, or if you want to join, enter that into the chat. And we're going to maybe another minute.
That's a beautiful book.
While you guys are doing your entries, you know, this is one of those moments where it really piqued my interest in foreigns that, you know, we all know Storm is black, but to sell the book, they had to make her a white woman on the front.
What book is that from? What is that though? So I know the cover is a painted cover, or is it one of those books where it's not a
This is an Indonesian bootleg, which means they had to change up the cover anyway. As you can see, you don't see Marvel anywhere on it, on the front or back.
So the story's totally different too. So it's not a commissioned story.
No. Interior story of this is the Hellfire Club issue, and that's what this one is. And then, you know, you want to talk about grails. I've only seen this book twice as well. Now this one is the Marvel Premiere. This is the Marvel Premiere 52.
Nice.
The story's on the interior of this. Now I know someone that has the OA pages from this in Indonesia. He has the OA pages. I'm working out a deal to try to get those from him, but you know, this is one of those books that I was like, I gotta have one.
I think a lot of people don't know too. Sometimes in the forums, you can be tricked by the covers. You can have the actual cover of a book, and then the inside will be something totally different altogether as well. So, you know, forums are tricky.
Like this is one for those Moon Girl fans out there. This is the only time it was printed outside of the U.S. But the thing about this is just a previews book, like Marvel Age. You see it right there.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
it's
dope,
image is on the outside and nothing on the interior. There's no comic book on the inside. It's just printed outside. And then
what's on the interior?
What's on the interior? Yeah.
Just comics that's coming out.
It's a book full of previews.
Every time I see that picture, I think Lunetta looks like she's 40 years old on that picture.
See?
Say shout out to Von Eden. That's the Von Eden cover right there too.
Yeah. I like the cover. Just that close up.
Yeah, it's just previews, just literally previews on the inside.
And I say that one and the Sanford Green ones are probably.
I know the guy that has an OA to that cover too. I told him I hate you just because you have it until you sell it to me. But he was like, he'll never sell it. And I was like, I know. That's why I hate you even more. Another one. This is another one too. This is the only time I've seen Halle Berry on the outside of a book. It's front and center. This is one I had to grab too. The U.S. one, Hugh Jackman's on the front, but I grabbed this one.
Nice.
And shout out to Herschel. He put me on. He turned me on to this one, where it has Storm on the back, police brutality on the back cover. And then
What's the front cover?
The front cover is.
I need you not to be fraudulent with this information. Just show us the back cover and just hide it away.
Classic X-Men.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah. I show off the back cover because I was
What issue number is that?
Number 3.
Yeah. Y'all should have that.
No, number 11. I'm sorry. Number 11.
Funny thing is, probably a lot of us got that book, but don't even really hadn't looked at the back cover just to notice it.
But then another one that I thought was cool is that this is the U.S. cover. I know this one is a big one because this has a reprint of was it Giant Size X-Men on the inside, I think. And then on the back cover, which I thought was kind of cool, it has some beautiful Storm art on it. But then I sent me down the rabbit hole of finding this Danish.
Whoa.
Nice. The finish. You want to talk about the Wind Rider? I can go all day. Patrula. This is front and center. All the basic characters that was on GSX-1. And then for those Brother Voodoo fans.
Nice.
Yo. Number 170. Yes, sir.
Yeah. And then French Canadian again. Jungle Action. Now looking at this one, I'm giving it maybe an 8.0. Just because I got this from a guy that didn't know what he had. But it's clean. I probably give it like an 8.0. It's the cleanest I've seen.
Nice.
Talking to a couple of guys in Canada, they said the highest graded there is 6.0. So I think this might beat it.
That book alone right there is slept on that no one mentioned really during this chat, but he's the highest selling black villain, that book right there.
Yep. And
Black Panther.
Kirby, Greek. This one's tough. I can't find this anymore as much as I want to get another one. Now this is the question I have for you guys. I have a run of the Pence copies of this, like the Pence copy of this.
Right.
Everybody knows what this book is.
For sure.
But it's the Pence copy. Now, I know there's only 3 copies on the census of the Pence. Okay. And I have a run. I have a run of these that I got from a guy for $50,
nice.
Which I'm not mad at all. Because like the Madam Slay issue, it's a Pence. Got this one, Pence copy. Got this one. Now some of these is not on the CGC census yet. Nobody turned in a Pence copy for either one of these. These 2 or the Madam Slay. This is the Madam Slay one.
So you're saying they're about to be. You're saying they're about to be on the census, huh, Mike? Rob?
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, Rob, I got a book that I need for you to let me know what country where it came from too. I got a black kid that nobody talks about, but I'm gonna show it to you in the dip.
Now this one I got. This is the Pence copy too. I have the U.S. as well. Now, one thing I love about this is that a guy that lives in. Huh?
I said I got that shirt on right now.
Yeah, but I'm about to blow your mind real quick. Hold on. I have this print that I got done by a guy. He did it in marker.
Nice.
Okay.
Wow.
Damn, that's hot there.
And for the sake of it, he kept out some of the Marvel Marvel stuff on it. It looked like a blacklight poster.
Right.
But I thought this was kind of bad. I'm gonna put them like side by side with the US and the pins.
That's nice.
And for those of you that don't know, I have the big booty Gwen.
Mm-hmm.
This guy.
People don't know about how important those Spanish Spider-Mans are, man. Those stories are crazy.
And that Monica Rambeau that's coming up, I got the print. I got the print from Stealth Freeze years ago.
Nice.
Yeah, that's
like,
dope.
And this is probably my favorite. This is my favorite commission ever.
Yeah, that's dope. Super dope.
And most of these were cheap.
Who did that? Was that Olivier Capio?
Believe it or not, no, it's a dude named Nilo Ren. I paid $90 for this.
Nice.
That's nice.
It has a Phil Noto. It has a Phil Noto feel to it, but man, I was like, I need that.
Can you put that the other print back up? The really colorful one. Brooklyn was talking about how that looks like Ernie Barnes art.
With this one?
No, no, keep going back. The Black Panther one.
I'll put it back in the. Put it back in the.
I'm a big Ernie Barnes fan because he's from my area, or he was, he lived in my area in Durham, North Carolina.
Okay.
Yeah. So, while he's pulling that back up, why don't we go on and here we go. Wow, that's nice. That's some good stuff.
Stuff looks dope, man.
Nice.
Yep.
Like even down to the despair on a woman's face, he nailed all of it.
Wow.
Nice.
You know it, guy. All right. So, we've got Spider-Woman UK. I'll give 5 seconds for anybody else to put their names in. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Austin won again.
Oh man, it's like a daily double in this draw.
All right.
Wow.
So,
congratulations.
Hey, that's what you get, Austin. Thanks for joining.
Hey, Robert, I got a question for you. Can you tell me where this comes? Which one is this? This one comes from?
You see. Rick, pull it down some.
Pull it
down. I see the top. What is that in the upper right-hand corner of Superman and Batman? It looked like it's Italian.
Okay. That's the Black Biker Gang joint. So
yeah,
I just had that. So
all right,
you the expert, so I'm going to you for the answers.
Send me a picture of that so I can give you accurate. It looked like it's Italian, but I'm making sure.
My man.
So I think we've gone through all the giveaways. Is that right?
Yep.
Now we do have an end of the year show that's coming up, and I do believe we will have a lot more giveaways coming up in that show. So stay tuned. We'll be sending out everybody information on that. Rich, I hand back off to you.
Yes, man. We been here over 2.5 hours, so we're gonna bring this thing to a close. We hope you guys got some information that you can use to create or build your own collection, and also just to get you guys to understand, this is the perfect time to go out and try to get these grails or these black keys that you saw tonight. The economy is such where people don't have as much disposable income, and so prices have dropped on a lot of these books. So the time is right. If you got the cash, you can obtain some of these books. Now, some stuff is just going to stay where it is. There's an Evan right now on eBay I think it goes for like 4 or 5 more days. But I'm reckoning that book is going to probably go hover around 6,000-7,000 for it. There is one there for almost 5,000 right now, so you can just buy. But the opportunities are there. You just have to seek them out. With that being said, guys, do we have any other closing comments before we shut this down?
I hope everybody has a good Christmas. So, if I don't talk to y'all until then, God bless. And I mess with all of y'all. Hey, Mike Carson, good look too, man. I just sent that message off too.
I want to thank Rob and Mike and Big Phil for joining us today and just sharing their knowledge. Like Rico said, iron on iron makes it harder, so stronger. So we definitely want to continue to share all we can, and just get the word out. There's so much history, and just really appreciate that you guys could join us today and share so much.
I want to thank you to Derek, Rich, and Paul for allowing me to put my video piece on for some of the things that I got coming up, because y'all really didn't have to do that, and I really appreciate that as well. So I don't want you to think that I'm just like, yeah, y'all better put my stuff up, man. I really appreciate that. Real
Hey,
talk.
we'll play it again in case anybody missed it. We'll play it again at the closing here.
You never got to post the Baker clip. Please show it for the.
Oh yeah. Okay,
oh,
let me pull that up. It's not a clip. It's just.
How you gonna forget about
just a little info?
Yeah.
Well, we've been talking about Baker all night.
Yeah.
Which means forgot about it.
All right. So limited space. Hopefully all this is correct, but you kind of see, he was 38 years old when he passed away. But great work. Interesting thing. So in these days, there was a shift in the way the market was working, and they shifted to having more art studios that would do the drawing for the comic book companies instead of the comic book companies employing people directly. So there's an art studio that was started by Bob Iger, or not Bob Iger, but Jerry Iger, who's Bob Iger's father, and Will Eisner. Very short-lived studio, and Will Eisner eventually left, and then Jerry Iger stayed on. But it's just interesting how you have these connections of Jerry Iger to Bob Iger directly to Matt Baker, which is just really interesting. But
that's when he did the Saint book. That's when he did the Saint book.
Mm-hmm. And Matt Baker's skills were just so great, they just couldn't be denied. So everybody that was around him just had to give him his props and let him do his job, which not everybody who was black got those types of benefits. But that's just how strong he was, how much better than his peers he was.
Yeah,
See that?
I mean, this,
Here we go.
That's the book, right? And this looks like a modern book. Like that doesn't even look like Baker was on something else. Super beast. Had to have that.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, here's a page on Matt Baker. Once again, take a look at the description for this show, because we have a link to Invisible Men, which is a great book by Ken Quattro. He did a lot of research on black artists, many of whom kind of hidden in history because of the system that was in place at the time, and he's raised the profile of a lot of people. So get that book if you can. It's a great Christmas present.
You know what too? You know what would be dope? Just throwing this out here is if we look for a number that we want to hit for people to be on next week, and we give away something big. I mean, our Gun Hawk is a key, but I have no problem with throwing in a bigger book. I know some of the other cats in here got big books too and got doubles and triples of things, man. We can make next time we all on, we can make it something real crazy. So, that's just me.
Yeah, absolutely. And as Brooklyn said, we are really close to 1,000 subscribers. So I think we're probably going to break 900 probably tonight, and then we're on our way to 1,000. So hey, spread the word.
Everybody get a friend and come subscribe.
For sure.
All right.
Let's do it.
All right. That's what's up, y'all. It's your boy Rich. I'm here again. Thanks for joining us on tonight. We celebrate Black comic creators. We celebrate Black comic characters. This is Black Comic Lords. We in the building. Please support it. Go to our website, blackcomiclords.net. Check out our merch. Check out our material. Check out our blogs. Check out our content that's there. You can go to links that will take you to eBay to order some of these books that you perhaps seen tonight or other comic books that you may be interested in. Either way, we want you guys to go to the website, check it out. Those of you that have not subscribed yet, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Please help us to get to 1,000 subscribers. We're going to building up to big things. And as Derek said earlier, we're planning a end of the year show. Tentatively, that should be December the 30th, 31st. Yeah, 30th, I think it is. It's a Friday night, but we're going to do a show. We'll probably do some giveaways. Matter of fact, we're going to do crazy giveaways in that show. And we want you guys to join us. We're going to just talk about the year 2022. Won't talk too much history. We're going to talk about the history of 2022. What books you got, what artists you like, what crazy covers you copped. That's what we're going to be doing that night. Also, next week, join us. Real Talk with Rich will be back. We'll be doing our regular show. And that's what's up. So until next time, it's your boy Rich. I have the DJ Big Phil in the building, Mike Carson, Rob with Rob's Comics, and Derek the producer, and the Chief Dundada Paul. We out. We love you. There's nothing you can do about it. Until next time, we say peace.
Peace.
Take care.